not want a hydroplane. That is your latest with weather and traffic. Now over to JP and Whitney.
All right, Dave, thanks. 2 weeks from tomorrow, Louisiana voters go to the polls. And this morning, we continue our conversations with the leading candidates for Louisiana governor.
And this morning, we welcome independent candidate John Georges. John, welcome back to Tune In.
Oh, glad to be here. It's great to be in Baton Rouge again.
How's the campaign going?
It's been great. LSU games and Southern games and a lot of football. Football is great for campaigning.
Well, you had a big debate in Shreveport last night, and you blew in pretty quick here to Baton Rouge.
Yeah, I was glad to be here, and you know, a lot of sparks were flying, and you know, none of them landed on me, so I'm still here.
Yeah, you avoided the crossfire pretty good last night.
Well, you know, Bobby Jindal took a shot at me. I ignored it, but I was kind of surprised. It kind of leads you to believe that maybe there's something going on in my campaign.
Well, let's field some questions from some of the voters out here. They want to ask you some questions about some of the big issues in the race. Let's go to our first questioner right here.
Hi, my name is Ty Hingle, and I was wondering what the new gubernatorial candidates were thinking, how could we get new and more qualified applicants to Louisiana to draw in some Fortune 500 companies to boost our economy. Currently, we only have one Fortune 500 company in Louisiana, and what are we doing to plan to get those people to come into our markets?
Good question.
That's a tough one, huh? Well, you know, I'm a businessman, and I think, you know, like Michael Bloomberg of New York and Mitt Romney of Massachusetts, when the business leaders of the world hear that we've elected a business person that's an independent, they realize that we're over this partisan bickering that's held us back so long. It's been the partisan bickering in Louisiana. You saw it last night in the debate. Bobby Jindal and Walter Boisseau, Democrat and Republican fighting. It makes you kind of wonder, how can they lead in the legislature when they're fighting so hard? That's why I'm running a positive campaign. I have a plan for Louisiana. It involves economic development, and that's one of my top priorities.
One of the big stories this year, we lost that German steel mill. I mean, what specifically would you do to draw companies like that?
Well, you know, it's nice to have those big companies, and I'll take them, but my plan involves regional economic development. The Baton Rouge area knows what it needs for economic development, and also the southwest part of the state. What I want to do is take that alleged $400 million, divide it into 8 regions. Let's just take 50 million. There's probably would have put $1 billion, and give those local areas economic development funds to attract more business. I want to use the lieutenant governor to be the salesman for Louisiana, to go around the world and go visit these business leaders. I plan on doing it as well, but it's nice to have a lieutenant governor out there pitching for Louisiana.
How would you train the workforce better? Because that's the complaint of some of the companies.
That is something that the PAR plan shows, and I agree with in my plan. Right now we have 4 divisions of government. You have to realize I'm a businessman that turns around failed businesses. And what I learned by looking at government is it's not being managed properly. 4 different areas of government doing job training, whether it's Department of Labor, or the community technical colleges, and the governor's commission on policy setting. It's time we take our job training. When I meet with union leaders and I meet with titans of business, they agree on one thing. They want job training. And I think the unions need to be at the table, as well as the business leaders. There are 20,000 unfilled manufacturing jobs. We don't need more smokestacks in Louisiana. What we need is job training on I-49, starting up in Shreveport and working its way all the way down to Avondale. Let's focus on training 20,000 people, but it also ties into the education system in Louisiana. Having served on the Board of Regents, I know how to link higher ed, community colleges. I supported the Baton Rouge Community College when I was on the Board of Regents. I think it's proven to be very successful here in job training, and we can align the universities with the economic development, and of course, don't forget business incubators.
Okay, here's another question. We have another question about money. Let's listen to one of the voters and see what question they have.
My name is Clacy. I live in Baton Rouge, and I'd like to know how you're going to spend the surplus for the budget this year.
Well, the surplus, you know, we have last year's surplus, and now we have another $1 billion. I support the blueprint plan for Louisiana. You can't spend our money in Louisiana unless you have a plan. Blueprint, I'm going to bring Blueprint, PAR, BGR, Cable, all of these groups that have always been criticizing government all this time. I'm going to invite them in government the first 90 days, and we're going to establish the priority spending. But what I would do with the current surplus is I would pay down next year's debt, which will be something fiscally responsible, but also create money for next year. So when we do set our priorities, we'll have this money spent in the right direction.
All right, let's take another question.
Let's turn to another one of our voters.
Hi, my name is Larry Daigle from Baton Rouge, and I was just wondering your views on Medicaid and other help for the senior citizens of the state.
Of course, last night's debate was about health care. Answer his question.
I think the health care question sparked all the problems because, as you know, the congressman voted with the president against Louisiana once. Then he skipped the vote. He skipped the debates, and then he skipped the vote in Congress. He can't do both. Either you're debating with me here in Louisiana or you're in Washington. And now he's saying he's going to go against the president. You can't flip-flop on health care. The problem in health care is that they've cut the reimbursements for doctors. So the good doctors don't want to get Medicaid and Medicare. I have a plan for health care. It starts right here in Baton Rouge. Earl K. Long Hospital needs to be rebuilt in a new hospital for the people here. But we can do a lot for the 65 and older, not just in health care by rebuilding our hospitals, but also by moving health care closer closer to the patient and their communities. But also my plan for 65 and older involves no income taxes. I have a way for 65 and olders not to pay income tax in Louisiana, so they don't have to leave to go to Florida to retire. They can retire right here in our own state.
And what is that plan in 10 seconds?
Where's the money going to come from?
Well, it's only about $100+ million, and the $1 billion surplus, we can do that right away. The plan that Foster Campbell has won't work. He'll be fighting the oil companies in the legislature. It's not worth us fighting right now. Coalitions of people are coming to my campaign because they're going to my website, looking at Georgia's for governor. They're also looking at my plan, the Georgia's plan. I have a plan. I'm the only one with a plan. I'm the only one that signed Blueprint. And oddly enough, I'm the only one that's been to Earl K. Long Hospital.
Well, John, thank you so much for being our guest this morning, and thanks to all of our viewers for asking some great questions. You got a busy 2 weeks ahead.
Well, I'm excited about it, and they're breaking our way, and I think we're headed to a runoff.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
For joining
Candidate for
us.
Governor, John Georges. Well, coming up, we'll take you back out to Cabela's.